Hey, good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic Live. That's right, we're live here, and I've got a really incredible interview. And not only that, some big news just broke in this case, and you're going to be the first to hear about this. So, this is kind of a big deal. But I wanted to share something really fun and funny. I saw the absolute best troll job of all time. This is President Trump. He shared this video. It is hilarious. So watch this.
At White House Senior Living, our residents feel right at home. Our vibrant facility offers delightful activities and outings, round-the-clock professional care, and exquisite house-made meals.
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating all Italian foods, basically.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream.
White House Senior Living, where residents feel like presidents.
Oh, that's right, folks. Where residents feel like presidents. That is absolutely, I think, the best trolling video of all time. Do want to mention my sponsor really quick, MyPillow. That's right, MyPillow.com. Promo code Lumberjack for big savings. You can get yourself some of those Giza sheets there, the best sheets known to man. And I love those towels. They're actually soft. They're actually absorbent. It just works. So, but without further ado, I want to bring in my special guest, Jason Fick, and he has been pressing a case to basically end Section 230. And there was a really positive development in that I covered a few weeks ago. Many of you saw that video. And today we have a new development. And this is, like I said, you're going to be the first to hear this. So I'm going to pull Jason in. This literally just happened minutes ago. Here we go. Jason, good to have you on. Thanks for joining us here on Lumberjack Logic.
Thanks for having me, Neil. Appreciate it.
Do you hear that crackle? I've got like
I do.
I wonder what that's from. Hold on. Do you hear it now?
I do, a little bit. Something you're in, but when you move.
Here,
the joy is about live streaming, right?
Yeah, maybe I got my phone too close to it. Sometimes that does it. So throw that down there. All right. So, Jason, I know you just had some big breaking news, but before you cover that, can you give us just the 2-minute background? I know this involves Facebook. You actually had, it wasn't like you actually managed other people's accounts, right?
No, not really. I just had a lot of pages with a lot of fans.
Okay. So it was, all those pages were actually your own pages. They weren't.
Yeah,
okay,
I ran and owned them all.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about that.
So basically, I built a massive Facebook audience. I use that audience organically, because that's what they offered us, free reach and distribution. We just had to come build our business. I did that. And then, of course, they just stole it from me, right? Because when I'm advertising, they started advertising, by taking money, and in doing so, they displace us. It's unfair competition because they literally control the whole platform, right? So they're a dominant power, but they're also a content provider acting under the privileges of a service provider. It's a big mess. And we caught them. Outright. It had nothing to do with my content why they took me down. So again, remember, my case was not at all about content at all. Like, no content was ever identified. I wasn't trying to hold them accountable or liable as the publisher or speaker of any content, right? It was my content, but we caught him, and I sued him in 2018, right?
So this has been languishing in the courts now for over 5 years.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Honestly, I am probably going to blow your entire audience's mind. This is monumental because what I have come to realize is the courts do not care about our constitutional rights. They will apply the law however they want, not based on how it's actually written or how it even makes logical sense. They will deny you of your ability to redress your grievances. It is an outright constitutional denial. It has happened to me. I have never seen anything like this. I used to believe that the courts were good and cops were good and everybody was good. But the reality is that the ones that aren't are destroying it. They're destroying our rights. So here's what happened. We took, and it all makes sense why this is so bad. We took the case all the way to the Supreme Court, and we argued basically that Facebook took my content down, right? They restricted my content. That has to do with the section of 230 that is called 230C2A, right? That's what it applies to, restricting content in good faith. They didn't do that. Then they conspired with my competitor to reinstate my content for my competitor. Well, that would technically make them content providers and publishers. They would be developing content, and it's not even on the internet. That is just illegal business practices.
Yeah.
Section 230 covered that too, but not C2A. Oh no, that was dismissed under C1. They said I was treating them as a publisher. Sure. The law says I can't treat them as the publisher speaker. Who's the publisher speaker of my content? Me.
You.
That's it. They misread the damn thing. They can't read the English language, right? And there is two ways to consider a law in the spirit of the law.
Too much Latin, Jason. There's too much Latin going on.
I mean, we're not even talking about Latin, just English. The and a publisher are different. It changes the who to a what. And that's just it. It doesn't make any sense because it renders C2A useless. Like useless. What does it matter? If they can't be treated as a publisher, they can restrict anything they want. They can do it in bad faith. It doesn't matter. We argued that all the way to Supreme Court. Court wouldn't fix it. Literally, as we're getting to the Supreme Court, another case, Enigma, proves that, oh, by the way, the Good Samaritan general provision, which we argued in our case, actually applies. Well, wait a second. So you're all of a sudden you're saying the motive matters. So then they said, well, the general provision doesn't actually apply generally. It selectively applies only to 230C2A, skips 230C1. And we said, no, that's not possible because that's unconstitutional. Went all the way back to the Supreme Court again. And they kept dismissing us procedurally, meaning we don't care about your rights. We don't care about applying the law correctly. We're going to dump your case because it violates our rules. Now, meanwhile, we didn't actually violate the rules, but they just come up with something, right? They said it wasn't timely enough. Well, we argued Good Samaritan for years.
Yeah.
Enigma was going on simultaneously. They should have known that. And then when Enigma was affirmed in the Supreme Court, it became settled law. And a month and a half later, we filed and said, it's settled law now. And they said, no, you took too long. What do you mean I took too long? I'm still entitled to my day in court, am I not? No. So we go to the Supreme Court the second time, right? And I apologize that I'm angry. I am so blown away by this because it means our rights are gone. They're already gone. So we go to the Supreme Court the second time, right? And this time we argued, look, C1 can't mean this. There's an issue of motivation, which has to be a Good Samaritan. And the whole thing's unconstitutional if you don't apply the legislative guidance to it, right? The intelligible principle, the general provision, that has to apply. Supreme Court denies cert. So now twice we've been to the Supreme Court. Twice they denied cert. Twice they screwed America because this is literally a matter of global importance, right? Not just my constitutional rights, everyone's rights. They won't do it. In fact, they took Gonzalez versus Google, and this is mind-blowing, to consider Section 230. Do you know what they did?
What?
They declined to address Section 230. Are they ever going to fix this mess? They're literally destroying America. Like big tech is screwing everybody. Why? Because the courts won't do it. Like no matter what we say, no matter what they do, they find some workaround to get around us. So get this. Then we go back to the Northern District Court a third time. Now we have a circuit court conflict with the Fourth Circuit Court in Henderson versus Public Data said, nope, this is not how C1 applies, which is what they used to dismiss me, right? It's now in conflict with the Ninth Circuit.
Jason, let me ask a question here because to bring the audience up to relevancy on the law, and I can actually pull up, I've got Section 230 over here if I want to pull up the plain text, but you're talking 230C1 and 230C2.
C1 and C2. The Section C is a C that gives them the protections and it's liability protections for doing stuff online.
So here's always been my take on Section 230, and I just want to get because you're much deeper into this than I am. Obviously, you've been in the courts battling this out for years now. But my confusion with Section 230 was always this: if they're not a publisher and they're a content provider, and I'm the publisher, okay, and they're afforded the rights, because it's always been my reading of Section 230, they're afforded these rights that they don't have to be treated like a publisher in court, right? Like I have to be treated like a publisher in court. They do not. So therefore, it was to protect them, so they did not censor.
Okay, so everything you said just conflated terms and it gets really confusing. Let me break it down for you. It's real simple. 230C. If you look at the law, which is right in front of you, it says protection for Good Samaritan, blocking and screening of offensive material. Good Samaritan is in quotes because that is articulated from Congress, right? That is what is called an intelligible principle. That is its fundamental principle, just like self-defense is the fundamental principle of self-defense protection, right? They're both affirmative defenses. So Good Samaritan comes down to two things, right? Two basic principles of Good Samaritan. If you're not involved in a car accident, right, you can't be treated as the person involved in the car accident, correct?
Correct.
Real simple. If you do not render any aid whatsoever and you just drive on, right? You see the car accident, you just keep going. You cannot be treated as the person involved in the car accident, correct?
Yep.
That's C1. It says no provider, meaning like a platform, can be treated as the publisher or speaker. And people keep talking about publisher. The publisher or speaker is who, right? It is another information content provider. But they didn't read it this way. They go back and forth all the time saying the publisher, a publisher. What does that do? Well, it changes who to a what. If you can't treat them as the who, we know who that is, right? It's the first person who put it up there. It's the person who publishing is the act of making it available or unavailable, right? Like putting it up, not putting it up. But as soon as you say you can't treat them as a publisher of any other content, well, then they can actually act secondarily as a publisher, right? They can do whatever they want, and they can't be treated as themselves. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. That's not even what that means. But if you apply the law as it's actually written, right? The words, the letter of the law, it's wrong. They're wrong. The courts have been wrong the whole time because they said I was treating them as a publisher. Yeah, because they got involved in depublishing, republishing, conspiring with other people. So they are a publisher, but they're not the publisher because the publisher of my content is me.
Yes.
They took it contextually out of place, and it's like, just read the English, right? And that doesn't make sense because if you can't be treated as a publisher in the general sense under C1, what is C2? Any action voluntarily taken in good faith to restrict access to or availability of material. That's publishing.
Yep.
It's useless. You can't be treated as a publisher under C1. C2 is useless. You could literally delete C2A and they would still have the same protection. That's because they don't write laws like that, right? That's duplicative. You can't do it. So if we apply it the way it's actually written, wait a second, all of a sudden, C1 is you drive past the accident. C2 is when they take a voluntary action to come over to the accident and render aid. There's your Good Samaritan. That's how it works. It's that simple. It means that C is your motive. C1 is inaction, right? Failure to render aid. And C2 is when they render aid. Not super complicated, right? But the courts have completely bastardized this. They totally twisted it backwards. They've taken the context out of it. They don't even apply it the way it's actually written. We've said that every which way till we're blue in the face. And they've now said, we don't care procedure. We don't care about your right. No, because here's the problem. Let me do this again. C1, right, would be if they can treat it, can't be treated as a publisher in the general sense. Let's take, for example, they call it arguendo. Let's argue that that's the case. They're right. Let's say the courts are right. That they're not, but let's just say they're right. We then said, well, Good Samaritan applies to the whole thing, doesn't it? Where does it fall? C. C1 applies to C1 or C applies to C1 and C2, right? It's an outline. They said, nope, it skips C1 and C2. So they basically said, you can't treat them as a publisher in the general sense. They're immune from any of their own actions. Oh, and by the way, the motive doesn't even matter. You see the problem?
Yep.
That is absolute, unfettered, unlimited, unconstitutional immunity because it allows them to restrain our rights without even legislative guidance from Congress. Nothing. It's wrong.
Yes.
Now, we argued that on the third run. Now, on the third run, we now had a circuit court conflict with Henderson, which is a higher court than the district court. They said, oh, it's not controlling on us because the Ninth Circuit's contradicted it. Because it's in contradiction with the Ninth Circuit. The Fourth Circuit and Ninth Circuit are at odds with one another now. And the Ninth Circuit relied on Zoran, which, guess what, is a Fourth Circuit case that the Fourth Circuit undid. It's like, you can't even make this up anymore. There's so much mess. They won't align it, and everything we've said has been correct since day one. It's apply the law as it's written. That's it. I wasn't treating Facebook as the publisher or speaker of my content. That's me. I'm treating them as themselves for their own content restriction actions that were done in bad faith. And they say, well, it's not redundant because, and we say, well, it's not redundant, except it is redundant because they did restrict my content in bad faith, and it got dismissed under C1, and then they claim it's not redundant. You're like, it did exactly what we said it did. Like, what do you even say at that point? So this time, okay.
What I was going to say, what's interesting about this is you were actually censored not because of your content.
No,
as much
it
as
can't.
you were.
It can't be the content, because whatever was restricted when it went down was identical when it came back. It just wasn't in my control anymore.
Exactly.
It means nothing was wrong with it. But see, they claim that I had pages dedicated to urinating in public. It was their first line, and it was a flat lie. Why? Because I had accidentally cut and paste a page URL that said "take a piss funny." That's a European term meant to say mocking or joking. It literally is why it says funny at the end of it. And they knew it had nothing to do with urination, but they said that to influence the courts first. And secondarily, they knew it wasn't even my page. It was a clerical error. I grabbed the wrong page out of the contract. I didn't even own it. So I had pages dedicated to urinating in public that wasn't about urination, and it wasn't mine. We're screwed. I mean, these courts are just, what do you even say anymore?
Well, so now let's go back to your story in the courts, because I mean, obviously something happened today that we're building up to. So
that's why I'm so angry.
I know.
The third time we go back to the Northern District Court, we say, okay, the Fourth Circuit disagrees with you. These 6 cases, half a dozen cases now prove that they're wrong, including a case in their own court. Their own court. Their own most senior judge in the Northern District of California said, no, that would be using 230C1 as a backdoor to C2.
Yep.
That's what we've been saying all along.
And that's
then
when
he
I
said,
got excited.
well, they then said that the Lemon versus Snap, which is the only one that is controlling, is wrong because in that circumstance, there was a defect in the programming. What do you think programming your algorithm to be anti-competitive is? Right? That's design. Guess what? That same judge said, well, no, if you program your algorithm to be neutral, it's not considered development, meaning it's not content provision. But the moment that you design it to be anti-competitive, you design it with a bias, it is developing content, and they are content providers. He got it. This judge completely misrepresented Lemon, completely misrepresented the facts of our case just to blow me out again, right? Because that was the only one that they said was controlling. No, I wasn't treating him as a publisher. I wasn't treating him as the publisher. And of course, they used a publisher. And the Lemon one, which is a design defect, is exactly what we're saying. The design of the algorithm is that way. They did it purposely, right? This wasn't just like, oops, I took down your bad content. It wasn't even bad. So we argued that's wrong. They dismissed that motion to overturn it, even though it's completely wrong. The DOJ has now agreed with us, right? They've said that 230C1 was applied beyond its proper bounds. Cruz said it was applied as super immunity. Paxton said it was applied like government-like immunity. We said it was like sovereign immunity, which it is. They can do anything they want. And we said sovereign immunity is impossible. It's unconstitutional. It has to apply to the legislative guidance. Has to. So we filed. Now what we did was we filed a case against the United States, and they dismissed that on standing, claiming that nothing Facebook did was traceable to the government. It's like, Facebook didn't dismiss my case. It was literally the government that dismissed my case. They're the ones that denied me on my right to redress my grievances, not Facebook. And they said, well, there's no standing. So we then switched it. Instead of going after the United States separately, we filed a procedural 5.1 in the case. And we then said, we raised the question, and I love this one. Ready for this?
Yeah.
It is a non-forfeitable constitutional challenge. Today, they forfeited it.
Just now, folks. This is breaking just now.
30 minutes ago. They literally forfeited a non-forfeitable right, meaning their procedure, their nonsense, their absolute ridiculous interpretation of this law that doesn't follow the English language, doesn't follow the spirit of law, doesn't even follow what Congress wanted. Congress is arguing with them. The government is arguing with them. Everybody's arguing with them. And they said, screw you. We don't care about your rights. What the hell is going on in this country? Not only that, they threatened my attorneys. They said, if you keep going forward, we're going to take you down.
Well, this is a common theme going on right now in the country. We see that all over the place.
This should piss everybody off. Everyone. It means that you are getting censored. Your free speech is getting completely ripped away from you by big tech, who is working with the government, who is being protected by the government, and nothing we can do will stop it. They literally said, "Hey, Supreme Court decided to deny cert." What do we do if we go to? Oh, we've been to the Supreme Court twice. I'm now going to go a third time. I don't really care. I'm coming because my rights have been taken. Our rights have been taken. We cannot have free speech on the internet if the court won't do its damn job. They keep saying, well, they have a First Amendment right, right? You hear that argument all the time. They got a First Amendment right. Yeah, the government can't compel them to host speech, but you know what does? Legal liability. That makes them compels them to host speech. They won't take it down if they're going to get sued if they do in bad faith. But if you never can apply bad faith, you never can bring a case. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, we've been right for 5.5 years. I've been made out to be the urination guy, which was a complete lie. I've had to endure people telling me I'm stupid. I'm right. The English language proves I'm right.
Furthermore, Jason, even so, the whole argument about what urination is or isn't, and the meaning of that doesn't even matter when they're having Sam Smith doing raunchy videos, and that's not censored. Give me a break. They don't care. No. I mean, if they cared about like being decent, half the crap would be censored on there. I mean, I have kids' videos or something.
I have literally reported a public urination video, and Facebook came back and said it was perfectly fine.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I proved that didn't even, like, I have proven so many things. I mean, when you build when you literally articulate to the world. So going after actors who repeatedly share this type of content and removing their distribution, removing their ability to advertise, removing their ability to monetize is part of our strategy. Do you know what they call that? That's straight up tortious interference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, hey, we're going to do illegal stuff and you can't do anything about it because it's our strategy. It's in our terms of service.
Jason, no. I love your fire, but your mic keeps your mic doesn't like your fire as much as I do.
I'm so angry because it's like they're literally telling us, tough crap, we're going to do whatever we want. And our advocates, which is supposed to be our government, who work for us, don't care.
Yeah.
It's just like, what do you even do? What do you even do?
Well, so on that basis, and I gotta mention something really quick. I gotta mention a sponsor here really quick, Jason. But I've got a really important question to ask you after this. So people, I told you I'd do this, but I just got a box from my sponsor. Look at it, Jason. You'll like this too. I mean, everybody's got to like real money, but this is Midas Gold Group, and there it is, MidasGoldGroup.com. Text Lumberjack. So look at this. I just picked up some silver from them. Yeah, pretty silver, huh? And so
have a lot more value than the dollar soon.
Exactly. Well, the dollar is like a sham, but these are Canadian maple leaves. These are 1 ounce of silver, and I'll show you. I did pick up one of these too. This is really cool. But this is a 1 ounce gold coin. This is also a Canadian maple leaf as well, folks. So you can get these at Midas Gold Group. MidasGoldGroup.com or text lumberjack to 232-425, and you can receive some free silver with a qualifying order. And so one of the things I've had to do, Jason, is because I've gone through, getting videos demonetized, even the whole channel. I've got actually 4 channels, and they wiped all of them on monetization at one point in time because they didn't like what I had to say. And so they said it was dangerous. And I mean, I've got homeschoolers who watch my content for civics. There's nothing dangerous on my channel. I'm not calling anybody to take up arms. I'm not doing any of this. There's nothing
You even
dangerous.
asked me to curb my language specifically,
Yes.
and I am. And that's
Yeah,
just it is that we do what we can to make it clean, to make it safe, and yet they just their reasoning is not what's said, it's because the idea behind what's said. They don't like it.
exactly. If it was about safety, I'm like the most safe channel out there. I
Mhm.
just and I love people. I love my audience. I even love the people who don't love me. I mean, I even love these crazy liberals. I honestly think that the bulk of them who have been captured by this are just kind of like mental slaves, and they just need to break free from it. I
Yeah.
love humans though, and so many of them have tragic stories, and I love their stories. But Jason, you've got to move forward now. You got a terrible decision today. The court rendered this awful decision, but
It's not
now,
even all it's not awful. It's unconstitutional. Like
yes,
it is a willful disregard for my constitutional rights. They had a constitutional challenge that was not forfeitable, and they forfeited anyhow. That means that you cannot exert your constitutional rights because the government won't respect them. That is way beyond just a bad decision. That is horrendous. Like this is much worse than people realize.
well, and here I want you to address this because somebody just asked this. I saw this. Why is it we can't create our own YouTube? People, this is why Elon Musk buying Twitter was so important. This is why it's one of the biggest stories of the last couple of years by far. See, the reason you can't create your own YouTube is because of the money and it takes to do this, and then getting an audience on YouTube, getting everybody to switch their accounts. Look, I know all kinds of people who are on Facebook who don't even like it, but all their friends are on Facebook. So then what happens is they've got a captive audience of people that they have built over the years. And now to get everybody else, there's MeWe. Okay, there was MeWe, there's Gab, there's all these different things. None of them take off, people. Okay.
I can actually answer. I can go another level up.
Yes,
Tell
please
that
do.
tell that to Parler. As soon as Parler became a threat,
Yes.
what do? They took him out of the stores, right? That's as anti-competitive as it gets. They
It
said,
was
"Oh,
bigger than taking him out of the stores.
all of a sudden, they're going to violate all the rules simultaneously, right? Simultaneously on all the different platforms, they violated the rules. Why? Because they wanted to stymie their growth. You can't create a competitor. You're never going to survive in the competitive market anymore. The market's gone. They monopolize it like a duopoly, right? It's an oligarchy of these big tech companies that are literally in bed with government, protected by government. You're seeing, in my case, the protection. It's unlimited, unfettered, and we can't do a damn thing about it.
So there is one thing we can do about it. I'm gonna address that here, but it's not, Crash Bandit said because money Rumble is fighting the fight. Honestly, Crash Bandit, that's Jason, I don't want you to
I'm
completely
not
go
going to
off
say a
on,
word.
I don't you don't need to go off on Rumble, but I will tell people this much. Um, the fact of the matter is that Rumble has its own way of producing its owners and its content providers that it pulls over. It does not have an algorithmic means like YouTube to promote new creators. So it's actually what they do is they promote those that with large audiences. And one of the great things about YouTube, and one of the reasons it actually worked so well and created all these great content creators, is because you did not have to have a big audience already. You didn't have to have big money. You could go on YouTube, and if your content was good and you hit it with the titles and thumbnails, and they would populate it into that audience. And the same was true with Facebook. And that was why you could grow on those platforms without having all this money behind you. And so Rumble is not that way. And I just throw that. You go to Rumble. I videos all back up Rumble. The fact that it shows that tons of videos over here might get 500.
Your
So,
internet is breaking up, Neil.
but it's really important because
Probably don't like what we have to say.
dealing with that. It is having trouble right now. But real quickly, tell them what your next step is.
I mean, I still have to talk to my attorneys to see which way we go with this thing, but I'm not done. I'm not even remotely done. Like what they did to me, they destroyed my future. They took everything from me. They're not getting away with this too easily. I act as an expert consultant on other cases. I can tell you right now, you can sue big tech. There are ways to do it. I know what the courts are going to say because they've already said every single thing that they can. They've found every way out, but you can sue them. I do act as a legal consultant, expert legal consultant on cases right now. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to tear them apart if I can. As it is, the dam is already cracking. They know the problem is 230C1 now in the Northern District. It's not like I'm not going to bring in other cases at them. So I'm just fed up. I mean, this is just wrong with the. I mean, it's unbelievable. So anyhow, it's far from over. And if people want to contribute, and realistically, without your help, I mean, this just doesn't get done. I'm doing a lot without resources. Imagine what I could do with resources, right? So, I mean, if you get a chance, go to socialmediafreedom.org, donate, help us because we are trying to solve this problem for you all. And, I feel like I'm fighting in a void because nobody really wants to fix this problem. They love controlling your free speech, claiming, oh, we're going to fix the problem, but they don't actually try. We're up against the actual opposition, which is government. I'm not really fighting Facebook. I'm fighting the government. I'm fighting the courts. I'm fighting a court that is so ridiculously biased that doesn't care about our constitutional rights. They're just going to keep coming at us. So that's kind of it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep at this, for as long as we can. So Neil, did I lose you, Neil? Am I on my own live stream now? Anyhow, I think that the live stream kind of ended, which is not too unlike big tech. Anyhow, well, I'm gonna say goodbye to Neil's audience if you're still there. I don't know, but yep, this is not unlike big tech to just shut us. Oh, there he is. Are you back?
I'm back. Okay, so that'll all clip out in a replay. So just real quickly, tell us again, where do you go from here, Jason?
From here, I have to talk to my lawyers. I have to see what our next strategy is, but I'm far from done. I'm not quitting. I don't care that they're threatening me. I mean, think about it. The court basically just threatened my attorneys because they're trying to defend my constitutional rights. Think about that, right?
I know.
That's happening in this nation more and more, and it's disgusting. This is a matter for the nat. I mean, if the Supreme Court doesn't do this, it is the Supreme Court's fault. In fact, the Supreme Court has an affirmative duty to protect my individual civil liberties, specifically because of the affirmative defense protection. There's a special relationship going on there. They have a duty to do this, and they're still not doing it. And it's like, I'm not giving up. No, I am going to beat Facebook. I don't care how many years it takes. The reality is what they did was illegal. The courts are just, if they can't read, well, that's on them, right? I have literally an entirely new case with an entirely new set of facts, a not entirely new complaint, and I don't intend to bring it in California because California can't get its stuff right. It's unbelievable. So no, I'm not done. But like I said to your audience, if they can help, I have a 501c3. We are fighting for your constitutional rights. I'm legit doing the job. There's a lot of people out there, oh, donate to this because I'm going to help you. They don't. We're spending literally every dollar on litigation to stop these guys from infringing upon our free speech rights. The government can't do this, but it is, and we're trying. So I said, socialmediafreedom.org. We need your help. Like, help us, help you. I mean, there's no better cause. Like you give money to these congressional members that they push fear, and they don't really fix anything. They're just making a bigger and bigger mess. I mean, I honestly, I don't know where we're going to go from here. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not done, is all I can tell you that. Still there, Neil? I think we lost him again. Hopefully it'll clip out, as he said. Still there, Neil? Oh, maybe he's back.
Am I back, folks? We're back, Jason.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it the fact that your internet is getting, I mean, this is not uncommon for me. I get bounced out of spaces because they don't want the world to know what we know. It is what it is. And like I said, I don't know what's next, but I'm not quitting. I mean, this is just, I'm not giving up my constitutional rights, period. And
I want to do something in the chat really quick. I guess Miss Jen's K one, she said, they took everything from you, is it really important, why don't you focus on something else? And that's a ridiculous comment. I just want to address that really quick, because if you build a business and they take that from you, that's freaking theft. You don't think that's important? If somebody came in and robbed your house, you don't think that would be important to you, and you should focus on something else? Come on. You would want to see
they're literally
justice.
billionaires because they stole it all from us. Like, literally, that's what they did. They said, hey, build our business, build your business, then we're going to steal your business and sell it to somebody else for our own financial gain. That's literally their business model. Massive bait and switch. That doesn't hurt just me. It's way beyond me. It's literally everybody. And then take it a step further and say, okay, let's go beyond business and look at free speech. Oh, that's even bigger. Like, what I'm fighting is way bigger than me.
It's the First Amendment for a reason. It's the First Amendment because it's first in freedoms, and it's guaranteed by the Second, and so on. I mean, I could go on about this, but look, I don't want our stream to break up anymore. Jason already is. We got the message out. I want to thank you all for watching, and I want to just say again, please do support my sponsor, Midas Gold Group, MidasGoldGroup.com. Text Lumberjack to 232-425 to receive free silver with a qualified order, or you can call them at 480-360-3000. Thanks so much for listening to another edition of Lumberjack Logic, folks. I love you all. Peace out.
Thanks, Neil.